This is Columbus, Ohio. It was the center of MLS earlier this week with the All-Star game at lower.com field. And while Leagues Cup got started around the league last night, we don't have Leagues Cup action tonight, but we have the next best thing. It's Leagues Cup Showcase. Cucho Hernandez, who scored a goal in front of the home crowd at the MLS All-Star game against the Liga MX All-Stars on Wednesday night, makes his way into lower.com field. I'm Mark Followell, joined by former England international Warren Barton. There is Unai Emery leading Aston Villa from the Premier League into this friendly tonight, which is part of a Leagues Cup showcase for Columbus Crew. Now, bear in mind that as MLS Cup champions from last year, they don't have to play in the group stage of Leagues Cup. They pass straight into the knockout stage. They'll play a knockout stage game, and we'll tell you more about some of the particulars about it later on, but they'll go right into the round of 32 on August the 9th. But they still obviously want to get a chance to keep their fitness up and a chance to play, and a great chance to entertain the fantastic fans they have here. And you bring in a club that had a fantastic year, Warren, last year in the Premier League, finishing fourth, qualifying for Champions League for the first time. Aston Villa, I mean, you could not ask for a better time to have Aston Villa coming to lower.com field for a match tonight.
Mark, it's perfect for both. Columbus Crew, as you rightly said, won the opportunity not to play in the Leagues Cup, so they can rest up some players, and Aston Villa on a high, and it's down to their coach. He's been magnificent. He's been backed by the board as well, and I know from my time back in the Premier League with Aston Villa how strong they are globally to come over to America, but all over the world as well. Villa fans are getting there, and they're excited about their season coming up. I always think this is a great time for the fans. There's new kits, new uniforms, new players. And for the players, it was interesting to see a lot of the Aston Villa players taking pictures, taking selfies on the pitch. This is new, it's a wonderful stadium, and the fans are out in numbers. There's a pub not too far down the road. I'm surprised we didn't get invited.
I'm quite disappointed, as a matter of fact. Not only surprised, but disappointed as well.
And there's over 1,000 of them made their way up here. So again, it's a perfect night for everybody. Hopefully it'll be a good game, keep away from injuries, and come here to entertain the fans.
Yes, and in the case of Aston Villa, they've played a couple of preseason games, and now, as Warren said, they were taking pictures because this is part of a tour here in America. They will be able to field a roster of 26 players tonight, unlimited subs. If the game is tied after 90 minutes, we will go to penalty kicks. So typical rules that you would expect from a friendly for tonight's game between Columbus Crew and Aston Villa. You see the teams currently in the tunnel here at lower.com field. And you're going to see, we'll have the lineups after we hear the anthem here in just a moment. Obviously, as you expect for any Columbus home game, and as we saw during the All-Star game on Wednesday, the atmosphere here, of course, is just tremendous. But it's two teams obviously in a different phase and stage of their season right now, with Columbus thinking about the significance of Leagues Cup and having come off a stretch of time in MLS where they played so very well before they tripped up on a couple of games, a draw and a loss after that fantastic 5-game winning streak. But Warren, for Aston Villa, I mean, this is still a long ramp-up process. They played 2 friendlies, Walsall from League 2 in England. They played a team in Slovakia. They've got 3 games this week here in the States, and they're still going to play 2 more friendlies when they get back home, including a trip to Borussia Dortmund before they open up the Premier League season on August the 17th.
But for me, Mark, that's what the Premier League is all about now. It's about going out, about the brand, about going out to your fans that are all over the world. They landed in DC, a couple of days training there, come out, play the game, go back again straight after the game. But people tell me about the game in America that it's not growing. I mean, have a look here. Like you said, the MLS game that's going on, and the fans are out again in their number. It's quite magnificent.
We'll have the lineups in a moment, but first, the national anthem.
Fans, please rise if you're able and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of the United States of America.
still a little over 3 minutes away from the kickoff tonight at Lower.com Field. Columbus Crew and Aston Villa in this Leagues Cup showcase. See the familiar kits of Aston Villa. Emi Martinez, you just saw the goalkeeper, Joe Gauci. Emi Martinez is still recuperating,
still celebrating.
He's
not fit to start. He's last seen in Buenos Aires somewhere. We're not sure where he is, but he'll be back.
Let's look at the Columbus starting 11. So this is going to be very close, of course, to a first choice starting 11 to begin the game tonight. You do notice Will Sands playing as the left wing back, but Camacho and Amundsen along the back line. Nicholas Hagen is the starting goalkeeper. Bear in mind that Evan Bush is hurt. Patrick Schulte, of course, is with the U.S. men in the Olympics. Congrats to them on their win earlier today against New Zealand. And then the devastatingly effective front line of Cucho Hernandez, Diego Rossi, and Christian Ramirez.
Yeah, Rossi has made a big impact since he's come back to the league. I think he's a wonderful player. And again, I think that shows you, like you said, they need some games, they need to play, and that starting 11 is as good as anything that they put out this season.
Indeed it is. Cucho, Rossi, Camacho, Moreta, and Nagbe all played in the All-Star game on Wednesday night against the Liga MX All-Stars. Match officials tonight: Alexis De Silva, Jacob Little, Christopher Slane, Kevin Fikar, the fourth official. No VAR in a Leagues Cup showcase friendly.
Oh no!
we don't get to check in and see what they're doing tonight in Arlington, Texas. We can tell you that this is the starting 11 for Aston Villa. So Warren, you've got some very experienced players from Spain on the left side of the back line, Alex Moreno and Pau Torres, and then young players, Kosta Nedeljkovic, 19 years old, Josh Feeney, 19 years old on the right-hand side, and then you see some of the new faces. This is a big part of the offseason after the Champions League qualification and preparing for that. Samuel Illich Jr., Enzo Barrenechea, Ross Barkley, all of these new players that Unai Emery wants to get up to speed tonight.
Yeah, and Rodgers has a good campaign so far in the pre-season. I'm really interested to see Barkley. I think he's an outstanding player, Chelsea. I think that he's got the opportunity now at the highest level to play in the Champions League. And it'll be a tough game for the Crew. Although they'll be fitter, they'll be more in tune. The way Unai Emery trains and his philosophy, there'll be high tempo, lots of energy. And I'm hoping for a very entertaining game.
There's Joe Gauci. Gauci from Australia. He joined Aston Villa earlier this year from Adelaide United. He has played internationally for Australia, including in a couple of World Cup qualifiers for Australia through the Asian Confederation earlier this summer. Home to the All-Star game on Wednesday night. And now home to a Leagues Cup showcase game. Leagues Cup knockout stage game will be played here on August the 9th. But tonight is Columbus Crew and Aston Villa. And the man that Warren noted has been quite impressive in preseason with 3 goals in 2 friendlies. Morgan Rogers starts the game for Aston Villa. Aston Villa starting a tour of America that will include a game on Wednesday night against Leipzig of the Bundesliga. And they will also play a game against America from Liga MX, the Liga MX team, by the way, that qualifies straight into the knockout stage of Leagues Cup. And the first foul of the game as Ross Barkley was on the ball and the challenge put in. Long career in the Premier League for Ross Barkley. Chelsea, Everton, Luton last year. In all, over 260 Premier League appearances. Ball played forward by the young center back Josh Feeney, was intercepted by Nagbe. Nagbe played the least amount of minutes of the 5 Columbus Crew All-Star players on Wednesday night as the ball goes out here for a Crew throw along the left-hand side.
Mark, you can already see the way that Aston Villa just want a little bit more time on the ball, but Columbus Crew are not allowing to do that, and that's down to the fitness and the sharpness, and it takes a player, particularly coming into pre-season, probably about 7-8 minutes to get into the tune with the game. You can see with Columbus Crew, they're already tuned in, they're ready to go.
We mentioned that Emi Martinez is one of the notable absences for Aston Villa. When you think about firepower up front, we talk about Martinez not playing and being available in goal for Aston Villa. Up front, of course, Ollie Watkins, who had the match winner against the Netherlands for England during the Euros and had 27 goals across all competitions. From an attacking standpoint, that's the most notable absence on this preseason trip for Aston Villa to the United States. Obviously still recuperating for the long run of the Euros for England. For Aston Villa, Ezri Konsa doing same. Tyrone Mings is still injured on the mend from a knee injury last year. I don't know what's happening, what the latest is with John Duran. Maybe he's going to West Ham, maybe he isn't. There's still a lot to sort out there, but those are names that you won't be seeing tonight. And of course, again, Martinez and Ollie Watkins, the most notable absences.
And what that does is give players the opportunity. You know, I always think first impressions for young players to go out there. And here's a young player on the ball that's not going to be allowed to have time. He's got to play quick, he's got to play sharp, he has to be aware. Look at the way they're closing down right from the front. Can they pass it out?
And they barely did.
Don't panic, I've told you that, don't panic, just keep on the ball. Remember what I said, Dad's Army.
Barrenechea was under a lot of pressure.
There you go.
Josh Feeney got put under pressure by Christian Ramirez. And again, let's remind everyone that on the left side of Aston Villa's back line, there's a ton of experience, both at the club level and internationally, with Torres and with Alex Moreno. John McGinn and some of the Aston Villa players you just saw a moment ago. But on the right side, so Josh Feeney is 19 years old. He doesn't have a first-team appearance at all with Aston Villa. He's played with their under-18s and their under-21s. And then the right back, Nedeljkovic, is 18 years old. He's from Serbia. He's a Villa player, but last year he was on loan playing in Red Star in Serbia. So a lot of experience on one half of the back line. Assistant referee's flag comes up as Cucho is offside.
Yeah, and watch out for Aston Villa. This is something that they've done. They like to press, but again, with their back line squeezing up, there's a lot of space in behind. And you just see people like Olsen sitting in the bench as a very experienced goalkeeper. Tillemans was again involved in the Euros for Belgium. So that, again, just shows you the depth and the quality that they've had. You spoke about two major players that are not here. There's 3 or 4 that are sitting on the bench as well. So he's building a real strong roster for the season. They're going to be in the Champions League, Aston Villa. And their fans will enjoy it. They had a little taste of European experience last year, but just fell to Olympiacos. So now they can go in, if you like, with the so-called big boys. My old team, Newcastle, did it last season. And that's where the likes of Villa, Newcastle, I'd throw an Everton into that, will want to start breaking into that top 5, top 6 teams.
Yeah, Warren did note they were in the new Conference League competition last year, Champions League, Europa League, and now you have the Conference League competition that started recently and went all the way to the semifinals and bowed out to Olympiacos. Rossi pressing the goalkeeper, Gauci. Well, the form for Columbus, of course, was just splendid through June and into early July. That 5-match winning streak, won 6 out of 7, and then the 5 in a row, which there were a lot of good wins, but of course the signature win of that stretch, the 5-1 thrashing of LAFC, and Columbus outscoring their opponents 20-2 over that 5-match stretch. But then Charlotte was able to find a late equalizer in the last home game, and then last weekend, Columbus in their final game before this Leagues Cup break, before they don't play in the group stage, they go straight to the knockout stage, so they lost to Atlanta United in their last MLS game before Leagues Cup 2-1 last Saturday. Just their 4th loss of the season. Leon Bailey. Barrenechea.
Yeah, you're starting to see the Aston Villa players get into it. Like I said, it takes a few moments, but they had a good warm-up beforehand. 2 good coaches that we've got just in front of us that are wanting their teams to play well. They want to go forward, they want to entertain. And they're coaches, they're not just someone that manages in the old way. They want to be out there, they want to be involved with their players.
Wilfred Nossi, of course, One of the great coaches in Major League Soccer, a year with Montreal, now his second year with Columbus.
You know what I like about this coach, and some of him, he's earned the right to go there. You know, he was an academy coach, he was at the club, then he goes interim coach, head coach, does a wonderful job north of the border, comes back to Columbus Crew and does an excellent job again. And he's got an identity, there's a system how they play, but it's also going away from what they've been with their history.
Well, here's Leon Bailey coming down the right-hand side, had 2 targets in the box, looking for either Cameron Archer or Morgan Rogers.
And that's always interesting with Leon Bailey, predominantly left-footed, obviously, but being on that right-hand side will allow him, obviously, to put the ball in early, but he can chop back on his left foot and maybe have a shot. Good coaching as well. He made him captain, so that's more responsibility for the young player. From Leverkusen, who's got so much talent, but a little bit more consistency would be great.
Nicholas Hagen in goal. You just saw a glimpse of him. He started the last 2 games before Leagues Cup started. The corner driven in, and that's repelled away, now pushed back. Cross, great ball fizzed across the base of goal, and you had an arriver at the back post. Pau Torres was still up from the corner kick.
They have a specialist coach when they're doing their set pieces, but this is the second ball phase, and that's a delightful ball. Just put it in there, asking for someone to get on the end of it. Now, people always ask me, do you cross the ball to someone, or are you waiting for someone to make a run? I've always been told, just put it in there.
You just saw Unai Emery on the bench in the Aston Villa technical area, their manager. When Steven Gerrard was sacked in October of 2022, Unai Emery took over the helm November 1st, 2022. So this will be season number 3 for Unai Emery with Aston Villa. A little bit more on him in a moment. But here's Rossi headed towards the byline. He assisted on Cucho's goal in the All-Star game on Wednesday night, and this is the first Columbus Crew corner of the night.
Yeah, has a wonderful appetite for the game. You know, whether it's been at LAFC, as I said, he went away, he's come back. But he plays with the game with so much enthusiasm and desire to go forward. Set pieces, as I said, something that Aston Villa have got a specialised coach, which seems to be the vogue thing at the moment. But can Columbus Crew maybe adjust a little bit to a team that's a little bit unorganised? You said at the back line, Mark, you've got 2 new players, young kids. See if they're attuned to the system.
Here's the delivery by Rossi, who's had a tremendous year from setting up goals, scoring goals as well with 9, but he already has his first ever double-digit assist season. I think of Diego Rossi at LAFC, and 3 times scoring in double-digit goals, 12+ in 3 seasons with LAFC, but leads the team with 10 assists this year, and that's a career high for him.
Yeah, he's good with assists, but not very good with set pieces.
No, that was not.
We built him up to be a world break, and he just chips the ball into the goalkeeper's hands. But he is a talented player. Oh, what a ball!
Yeah, nice ball by Barkley. Archer on the edge of the area. You've got Rogers arriving. Down goes Rogers in the area.
Oof.
Rogers is an exciting young player.
Oh,
had a very nice preseason. Had 3 goals last year in 16 appearances across all competitions with Aston Villa. Turned 22 years old yesterday. Had 7 goals before he arrived at Aston Villa last year, playing for Middlesbrough. The Smoggies.
The Smoggies, yeah. Yes. I told you about them. And there's that high line again. You know, he's offside.
Second time.
But that is...
It was Cucho earlier, Ramirez that time.
Yeah, there is an opportunity there. You don't have to go so early, because as they're coming up, you just want to time that run. It might even be a midfield player or a wing-back that pushes in. See Christian Ramirez, who just tried to squeeze into that area. And these are things that Premier League teams will watch. You know, again, the system that they have, they want to play. Look how high they are. There's no pressure on the ball. That's brave as a defender to step up, because if there's no pressure on the ball, he takes another touch, then all of a sudden you're second guessing. But so far, so good at that back line.
Ramirez offside there in that sequence. What a season he's had, especially coming to life since the middle of May. All 7 goals that he scored have been since the middle of May. He scored 5 goals in the 5-game winning streak for Columbus. Had 3 assists in that recent stretch as well. Nagby was just fouled by Leon Bailey.
Yeah, what a professional he's been. Well, both. But,
yeah, absolutely.
Nagby, they've just... I'm just thinking, on the top of my head, Leon Bailey, I don't know whether Jamaica have played here against the US with his national team. So other than that, I don't think any of these players would have been in Columbus to play in this game, or in this stadium. But now that high line, the timing of the run, it's, again, he took a touch. He doesn't need to take a touch there. Let the ball run, and then you can just feeze it in.
There's another look at Leon Bailey. 3 seasons at Aston Villa, 20 goals. Warren talking about his international experience with the Reggae Boys, 30 caps for Jamaica.
I think there's more to come from him.
This is a nice build-up here. Rogers with a good ball, then Archer. Now pushed forward on the left-hand side. Samuel Illing Jr., he fizzed that ball in across the face of goal that Pau Torres couldn't reach a moment ago. Mohamed Farsi and Moreta back there trying to make sure that this rolls over the line, and Farsi able to shepherd it over for the goal kick.
Just that understanding there. Just wants him to go back. He's actually running just to take the defenders away, Farsi away, so then he can deliver. He didn't really want the ball. But again, this is why these pre-season games for the EPL players is to get that understanding, get that run, get the fitness in. It's not just the fitness, it's the understanding of when to pass the ball.
It was good defending there by Josh Feeney after he got put under pressure and had some very nervy moments early in the game. Good piece of defending on that long ball down Route 1.
And Mark, you're right, it is a good game. You know, sometimes you come into these pre-season games and it takes 25 minutes to get going, but there's a real zip about the way the Crew are playing and also the way Aston Villa are playing.
Feeney looked a little uncomfortable early in the game, but realized in that case that there's only one ball, go and hit it, and
looked like
he
it was
took
handball.
care of it. Yeah, that did look dangerously close to handball there. There's no VAR again tonight. Nagby flips it forward to Diego Rossi. And now out in space, Will Sands.
If he can switch it, if he can cross it over the far post, he's in.
Sands has only started 4 regular season games, played in just 6. Ball rolled into the area. Cucho scores. How about that? First they had to switch it, as you said, and then the outstanding, devastatingly effective All-Star number 9, Cucho Hernandez, puts Columbus Crew on the board.
Well, they adore him, and there's no wonder why. He is so clinical in front of goal. They do the switch here. You can see Ramirez at the top of your screen. They come over too far, the Aston Villa back line. Moreno should be further out, should open his body up. But once they get pulled out, watch his movement. Defenders go towards the goal. There's a mistake there, as you said. And second time around, because he takes it so early, the goalkeeper can't get set. It just bobs up. He doesn't take a touch. He doesn't need to. It's there for him to put in. Ball fizzes in. Don't clear your lines. He's going to punish you.
In regular season games this year with Columbus, Cucho Hernandez, 13 goals, 8 assists. He had a goal in the All-Star game and a goal tonight against Aston Villa of the Premier League.
Well, he just has that aura about him now, Mark, that he's... Oh, here we go.
Oh, given away here by Nicholas Hagen, and a quick chance to equalize, and Hagen stands his ground, makes himself big, and denies the shot opportunity by Morgan Rogers. Maybe he'll have another go, but Columbus able to break up the play. Rossi plays it forward. Feeney holds it in.
And I'm just looking here how squeezed up the field Aston Villa are. They are, every single player except the goalkeeper is in their half. So there is half a field to play a ball into. You want to go into midfield, and then if you can, like we did with Sam, just come out in the wide areas, and then you can play balls in between them.
Camacho, one of the all-star players for Columbus on Wednesday night. Rossi, Cucho, Camacho, Nagby. Nagby only played 24 minutes. Moreira, along with Cucho and Rossi and Camacho, all played one half in that game.
Well, Nagby is 34 years of age. There's that space again. I mean, okay, it's offside, but you keep doing that, one of them's going to get in.
This was the chance for Morgan Rogers, already 3 goals and 2 preseason friendlies, and very close to a 4th.
Yeah, I thought he was going to hit it a little bit earlier, but once they got set, there was bodies around him. He has good awareness, good strength. He has good presence the way he's playing. As I said, we know Ollie Watkins is going to come in, but it's a nice reminder for the coach that we've got talent. We've got someone to come in and maybe change things around. Great hold-up play again there, good awareness. Now Barkley's off to the races.
And he's got Illing in front of him. He's got Archer, but he picks out a ball on the left-hand side. Moreno, the left back, pushes forward, and a 1v1 against Farsi. Making a move from Juventus. You just saw number 21 for Aston Villa. Morenechea on the ball. Now in the left center channel. Here's Illing.
Well, he'll come inside now. If he can take the run and then come inside.
Yep, the overlap by Nedeljkovic. Bailey cut inside. Nice ball in the area from Morenechea. Then it's cleared and put back behind. Farsi concedes the corner, but that still was an excellent piece of defending in that particular situation.
Excellent ball played in. Wonderful play by Aston Villa. And again, for the Crew defenders, you just pass it away. Don't panic. Got in there. That's what, again, the Columbus Crew are very good at. It gets a bit overrated with their firepower, but they're good defensively as well, Mark. They're not only a team that can score goals, but they can defend as well. Set pieces. I wonder if there's one off the training ground here. This is the time to practice. Well, he won't be taking them again, that's for certain.
Was dumped away by Cucho. There will be a chance to send a second ball in here for Barkley. Nedeljkovic. Here's Bailey. Will Sands defending well. Cucho comes over to help. Will Sands dispossesses. Ball gets put back behind. It will be a goal kick.
Well done, Sands there. Just stand on his feet. Let him, Bailey, do the step overs and the moves.
They played Walsall from League Two, and Rogers scored twice, and Aston Villa have also played a preseason friendly against Spartak Trnava from Slovakia. Again, still on this trip in America, this U.S. trip, they will play America from Liga MX. That will be on Saturday at Soldier Field in Chicago. Midweek at Red Bull Arena against RB Leipzig from the Bundesliga. When they go back to England to prepare for the beginning of the regular season of the Premier League.
And he's in.
Yeah, this is Will Sands. Will Sands, oh, nicely done. He's got a lane to shoot, trying to curl it to the back post and doesn't hit it cleanly. Will Sands, who has 3 career assists in Major League Soccer, and by the way, hasn't played in an MLS game since May 18th, but getting this opportunity tonight.
And Mark, you're right. We're actually talking about Aston Villa players, young players getting the chance to do it. You've also got Crew players that have maybe been frustrated. You said about their record beating LAFC down there. Some results that maybe their last time out against Atlanta would have been a little bit better, the 2-0 loss, but it's been difficult to break into their starting 11. So again, a game like this, playing against top-class opposition, gives their coaching staff something to think about and to say. And if it's not here, it could be somewhere else, and that's what I'm saying with a young player like Rogers. If he comes on a tour, they've given the ball away cheaply again.
Wow, Barkley gave it away. Rossi to Cucho. Cucho has one. He looks to set up Ramirez. Ramirez set up Cucho for a goal and trying to return the favor. And the shot by Ramirez is over.
Yeah, he's having a look at the ground, Christian, but he's not seeing his touch. He's got to take it in front of him. His touch was poor. Wonderful play again from the front two. Just watch. They wait for the right opportunity, then they close it down. It's sloppy, and now they're in. Look at Rossi, makes the run. He doesn't want the ball. He's actually closed it up. It's a poor touch under his feet. He should be pushing it in front so he can strike it on target. And that's one thing with Ramirez, just a little bit more composure in front of goal. He does well with his figures and his numbers, but there's that little bit where he can just be a little bit more clinical to take him to that next level.
We were talking earlier about Unai Emery entering into his second full season, had a partial season in 2022-23, and then, of course, was the manager for last year's dream run to a 4th place finish in the Premier League and Champions League qualification for the first time for Aston Villa. A little bit more on that later on, but Unai Emery, think about where this man has been as a football manager, Warren. He played in Spain from 1990 to 2004, and then his career as a manager has taken him to Valencia, Sevilla, of course 2 clubs in Spain. Villarreal is where he was before he came to Aston Villa, but also PSG, And then he was, you never want to be this guy. The person,
your beloved Arsenal.
The person who replaces the legend. He had the year after Arsene Wenger, and it was just one season at Arsenal.
But everybody knows what a wonderful coach he is. I mean, at Seville, he won the European Cup 3 times.
Yep.
Villarreal as well, been good success in between the Arsenal, and he's a student of the game. He has a true identity about how his team plays. There's no doubt about his man management with players as well. Everyone I speak to at Villa, whether it's old players, whether it's people in the media, he has a common decency with people. You're right, at Arsenal, it was maybe a very difficult time to come after Arsenal. Ask David Moyes after Sir Alex Ferguson.
For sure.
How it is to come in there. So he's come into the game, and Aston Villa in the Premier League, he's adapted his style, but there's a true identity. Yeah, you can say maybe they have a high line, they press forward, there's gaps in midfield, but every single player knows what they're doing.
Well, their season was so good last year that they didn't exactly have a great run-in at the end. In their last 4 games, they did not win, but they still had enough of a cushion to maintain a 4th place spot, which is, of course, Champions League qualification. You really could say that they had a significant hand in deciding the title race, because
3 games,
remember, after Arsenal and Manchester City had their goalless draw at Etihad, Arsenal were in control. They could have won out and won the league, and the only time that they dropped points in the last 9 games was a home loss, a 2-0 loss to Aston Villa. So Villa had a significant role in deciding who would win the league last year.
I can tell there's a little bit of bitterness in
No.
you're
just reporting the facts. That's all I'm doing, my friends.
It's the way you did it.
They had a great season, though. It was fantastic to see it. It's a club with a lot of history.
It's a great football club.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a really,
yeah.
I mean, the stadium, the fans, it's old traditional, the red brick.
Free kick's finally been given here, by the way.
Always a difficult place to play when they've had their coaches there. Good history with great players. I mean, when you say like Gordon Cowans, was there, Peter Wiv, Shaw, them type of players. Dennis Mortimer, all of these wonderful players that they've had in their histories.
And think about how hard it is to, by the way, to have all of that history and then endure going down, because remember, there was relegation to the championship and then fought their way back up, and now they're not just fighting their way back up and trying just to stay up, but then to have the season that they had last year.
Yeah, I always think, though, Mike, you want to play for a club that's got tradition and history. You want to be part of that.
Here's Ross Barkley's delivery on the free kick at the back post, and it's headed away by Columbus.
Yeah, you want to have a pressure to play. You know, John Gregory, when they went there, Gareth Southgate, obviously played there, Stan Cullimore, Ian Taylor, the list goes, Dwight York, the list goes on and on and on about the quality players that they've had at that football club. Big Hugo Egiog, a wonderful player, we miss him as well. So great tradition. It's, as I said, a great football club. The fans are brilliant.
Villa had the last touch, so you had the Mohamed Farsi throw. And Rodgers, nice turn, and as he slipped and went down, he went down because of the contact, and another free kick.
He really impresses me.
Yeah, I like him.
One of his work rate, and again, this is another thing, it's not just like, can he get into this team? There'd be other teams looking at him, and then he gets the ball, but he has good feet, he has smart feet as well, where he can get out of danger. For a big 6'2" player, he's got good agility with his feet, he's got a good brain. He looks the part. Just wonder, maybe is there something on the edge of the box if they...
It is Barkley, a heavy touch by Illing.
That's a poor touch as well. He got blocked off. And then again, these are things that they would have worked on the training ground. But we said a lot about Villa. You know, I love Columbus Crew. A bit of history with me when I first come with Newcastle across America. We played at their old stadium to open it up. And this is, again, another good soccer club. Good tradition, good history. People like Brian McBride that have played here. They're always a club that are stable in their identity, about their ownership.
2 of the last 4 championships here in the league. It's a nice ball by the young center back Feeney to Moreno on the left side. Samuel Illing Jr. going 1v2. Now we'll pull it back to Barkley. Moreno left it. And as a result, it's turned over. And the break is on here. Ramirez can't reach that ball. Cucho trying to play it forward to Christian Ramirez. Now Cucho is making a run at the back post. Ramirez sees him. There's a push in the back by Alex Moreno.
I'm not sure there was enough. I'm not sure whether enough. There was a coming together, I understand that, but enough to go down that easy. I know he's probably looking, but is that enough to go down? Not for me.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Yeah, there is an arm on the back, but not enough to go flying forward. I mean, Mark, this has really got a pace to this game.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about
Alex Moreno, 2 years at Aston Villa. Before that, played at Real Betis in La Liga. And he's on the ball right now. Here in the last little bit, Aston Villa had been looking to find some joy down the left-hand side. Most of what has occurred in this game in terms of build-ups have been here with Leon Bailey.
Yeah, look, he's doubled up now straight away. They come over, they do that very well with their wing-backs. Someone will come over and help them out. They don't leave them isolated.
It was Robinson who came over to help out Will Sands. Now Sands puts in a strong tackle.
That's a good little battle, them two. There's our man again.
Morgan Rogers moves it centrally to Pau Torres. Torres, an international for Spain. He's appeared in 24 games for Spain's national team, including one game in the 2022 World Cup when they bowed out in the first game of the knockout stage. Remember losing to Morocco, and that dream run for Morocco all the way to the semifinals. It's fun to see Leon Bailey. You know, I have good memories of, you know, a lot of people think about Leon Bailey in Jamaica and Aston Villa, but Warren, you and I were doing some Bundesliga games together, and saw him when he first was really bursting onto the scene and drawing people's attention when he was doing some special things at Bayer Leverkusen, and he would get into games and it's like, who is this guy? You know,
and that is a great league for young players, the Bundesliga, but also a club like Bayer Leverkusen that obviously have gone on and won championships now, and they have a good identity about players, and they give their young players a chance. They don't just play them for 5 minutes here and there. They give them a game of 20, 30 games. Leipzig are like that. Dortmund are like that.
Yep. Villa will play Dortmund before they open up Premier League play. Their first fixture on August 17th, away to West Ham. Their first home game, Aston Villa will play a match at Villa Park on August 24th against the aforementioned Arsenal.
Oh, I might try and get you a ticket, because you've got to go to Villa Park. That's good.
Right?
Yeah. I'll throw you in the middle with all the Villa. I'll ask a few friends of mine. Maybe Big Stan Cullimore can get me a ticket, and I'll throw you right in the middle of the whole end with your silly little Arsenal hat on and your shirt.
I know better than to do that. I do know better than to do that.
I'm going to tell you how to get in there with Spaghetti Junction. If you don't know the way, you spend 6 hours on that freeway. Just keep going round and round.
Where's the exit for Birmingham?
You'll end up in Manchester.
They'll find out what their Champions League schedule looks like on August 29th. That's when the draw will occur for the group stage. Still don't know for sure which pot Aston Villa will be in. Could be pot 3, could be pot 4. That's all still to be sorted out based on what happens through the qualification rounds and the playoff rounds of Champions League before they get to the group stage. There's Josh Feeney.
You know, when you do play against Aston Villa, and like you said, their first game at home, and I would, when they squeeze up, you just turn them. You don't necessarily have to try and pass your way out of it. I know everyone wants to do that if you can get it into that far area. They're 2 against 1.
Here comes Rogers, and Rogers will go for goal. Had Illing Jr. in space to his left, but going for goal, Morgan Rogers. And it's saved by Nicholas Hagan.
once he didn't pass it early, he's got to take the shot because everyone was closing down and the space for Junior was being squeezed in there. But as I said, there's the Villa fans that met earlier before in the pub. Had a nice little walk on this wonderful evening in Columbus.
I read last night that Villa are one of the fastest growing football brands in the world right now. They've got a new shirt sponsor this year. I mean, things have really coalesced for them in such a special way, both on and off the pitch. Results on the pitch, and that's led to more attention, more positive attention, growing your fan base. You know, I think that these trips that Premier League teams take to America are so important, Warren. And I know that the story I'm about to tell is probably anathema to some fans in England, but for fans who are trying to engage and get into the game in America, an entry point for many people is the Premier League because the quality of play, the games are all on television, there's no language barrier. And I can cite to you examples of people that I know back in Dallas who, when Aston Villa came to play a friendly against FC Dallas 9 or 10 years ago, 2014, 2015, somewhere along in there, there were people who went to the game and it's like, okay, well, that's who I'm going to. And again, I know that this is a strange concept to some, but that's who I'm going to follow now. That's who I'm going to adopt to be my Premier League team. And you make these trips. It is so important in terms of global building of your brand. Here's a chance now, and Archer is in. Oh, wow, Hagen comes out. Splendidly done by Nicholas Hagen, the goalkeeper from Guatemala. Just made his first 2 Columbus Crew starts right before Leagues Cup.
It had to be perfect as well, because if he doesn't get it spot on, he's going to go to the penalty spot and bring him down.
Samuel Illing Jr., well defended by Mohamed Farsi, didn't feel like he could take him.
But Mark, you're correct with that. You know, of course, back in the UK or in Europe, you don't really get a choice to who you support. It's normally either your mum, your dad, your grandfather, your uncle, whoever it is, auntie. They give you a kit, and then you're supporting them, or you're ball around the corner like I was with Arsenal and Highbury. So you just support that team. But it is so important to the fans. It is so important to the club. And I can only tell you, as an ex-player, when I had the opportunity to go to Japan, where I went to Singapore, I come to the US, we used to love it. It was a great trip. We used to come out. What a save, as I said. He had to get that spot on. Yes, he had 2 defenders around him. But again, it's not only the brand, it's have that connection with someone. You know, you can see what Manchester City have done over the time. They wasn't 20 years ago. They wasn't a global brand. With all due respect, no one knew about them in Columbus. Now all of a sudden they are where they are because of a lot of things. But a lot of it is the branding.
Here's Rogers. Good ball sent in by the young right back, Nedeljkovic.
Now, from my point of view as well as a coach now, I just wonder, do you make lots of wholesale changes, or as the game has got to finely balance, do you do it in the 60-minute mark, or do you think, well, we need to get some players on? I know, obviously, Aston Villa are a totally different area of where they want to do it. And in his mind, I would think this type of coach, that he would have said, right, these are the ones we're going to make changes at half-time. Or the players think, you know what, I need another 5 minutes, I need another 10 minutes.
Corner kick here for Aston Villa at the near post, and making a run into the space.
But a lot of it now is down to data. We just 3 boxes along from us, we were spending time with 4 or 5 of their staff that have the data on people and see how many meters and how they're going through the energy level. So, I mean, there's a player that's got energy in abundance.
Well, so I would ask you, you were talking about how long, you know, a manager has to make a decision, how long does he want to keep his first choice guys out there? And these are all not first choice players. A lot of them are for Aston Villa, but not all of them. But where would a player typically be at this point
at this point, I think you're looking at a good 45 minutes at this point. If you ask me another 6 days, then you're going to that hour mark.
Okay.
You want to get over that. You want to, but it wouldn't surprise me if a Ross Barkley, a Leon Bailey, they have that little bit of time where they've travelled the heat, they've travelled again today. So some of the younger players may go a little bit longer, and obviously again, Marty goes in positions. You know, if it's a midfield player that's done a lot of work.
Taken away by Barrenechea. Rossi trying to slip it in front of Cucho. And so Barrenechea, one of 2 additions for Aston Villa from Juventus. Samuel Illing Jr. the other.
Mark, would I be right in saying they've spent more money than any teams in the Big Five so far? I know there's a lot of transfers to go, but they're close to that 200 million mark so far. I think they've spent. I know they've recouped some money as well.
Notably, Douglas Luiz on to Juventus. Moussa Diaby to Saudi Arabia. Some of the components of last year's Aston Villa side that are gone now. But it's a long list of additions. You see a couple of them on the pitch so far tonight.
Touch again.
Rodgers forward to Cameron Archer. Archer back with Aston Villa after he was at Sheffield United last year. Here's Samuel Illing Jr. And down to his left to save it, Hagen. 20 years old. Had 45 first-team appearances across 2 seasons at Juventus. Samuel Illing Jr. Warren, they've spent a lot of money, but they've also added a lot of players. You know, you talk about £200 million, and we're not talking about that being just 3 or 4 additions. I mean, we're talking about 8, 9 players that they've brought into the club, and still some more business that can be done.
And they're going to need that. You know, they're going to be on 4 fronts. They've got to be careful with this line at the back.
Cucho is in, and it's 2.
But as soon as he hesitated and didn't come out, the striker knew, and I said, they adore him, they love him. He has such a composed aura about him when he gets into areas. Look, they try and play it out, they break out, and he's already off. Like I said, you can play the ball blind. You haven't really got to see, and now you'd expect your keeper to have a high. If you're out on the halfway line, he should be on his 18-yard box, but he's not, and now he's got half a field to run into, and once he gets that touch, everything's composed and a delightful little dink as he goes down. 2 things, the high line, the goalkeeper's not on the 18-yard box, and he ain't going to miss. He may want to stay on to get a hat-trick. You know, that's what strikers are like. He knows he's got a long break. He knows they haven't got a game until, I think it's the 9th. So
yeah, August 9th. Right.
August 9th. So he can get a good 60 minutes and get a hat-trick and go away. Now, we watched the Chelsea game against Wrexham, how they was trying to play out. And yes, you have this identity, it's pre-season, and you want to try and do that. But Aston Villa are stuck with this high line.
And you rightly said, by the way, about 20 minutes ago, after the 3rd or 4th time that that the offside flag went up, it's like, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to take one, and then you're going to have a field of space to run in.
Yeah. And again, as I said, it's not even got to be a great ball because they're so high that there's half a field to play into. And again, if your goalkeeper is a little bit inexperienced and he's on his halfway line, there's a little tackle coming in.
Barkley and Nagby.
And I can tell you as a player, when you play an EPL and you come away, I went to DC and was getting beat 3-0, and you don't want to come off, you don't want to come into it. So Ross Barkley will be frustrated. We know it's a friendly, we know it's a long way to go, but look, I think the little shake of the head, that tells you that they don't like it. You don't want to come here and get on the end of a good hiding. He's obviously delighted with his players, the attitude. They're 4 or 5 months ahead in their season, I understand that, but he won't want to come here, Emery, and get a 4 or 5-0 drumming. I'm not saying it will be like that, because they've come a long way.
Nagby down off the challenge from Ross Barkley. So many things to admire about Darlington Nagby. One of them is durability. Earlier this year, his 108-game streak came to an end. 108 consecutive appearances, and finally with the CONCACAF Champions Cup fixture load early in the season, he was rested in a game. Recently passed 400 career MLS regular season appearances. Nagby is at 406. Didn't play in the last league game against Atlanta United a week ago tonight.
We've been in the league long enough. He's one of the all-time greats. I know that word gets thrown around, but he is his durability, but also his level of of play. You know, it's maybe not at the international, but you ask anyone that he's played for, you know, Portland or Atlanta, he's such a vital player to what they have in their system, the way he plays, an intelligent player.
A champion with all three teams.
Yeah, that tells you something about him.
Herrera almost broke up the play. Now it's rolled out. Rogers, then Nedeljkovic, Leon Bailey. Bailey with the cross and going for the bicycle kick. Cameron Archer. Cameron Archer was at Sheffield United last year. 4 goals in 32 appearances with their relegation. That triggered a clause to return him to Aston Villa.
You see Jude Bellingham do it in the Euros. He thought, why not? I'll take a chance. I've got to say as well, the fans have turned up again. We had MLS All-Star game here on Wednesday.
Yes.
Have a great attendance there. And then they turn out again.
And they turned out and seen their team play very, very well tonight. 2 goals by Cucho Hernandez, if you're just tuning in. Leagues Cup showcase. Friendly between Columbus Crew and Aston Villa. Villa still will play Leipzig and Club America from Liga MX later this week on their tour here in the States. This is given away to Leon Bailey. A chance to pull one back before halftime.
Oh, what a finish.
Wow, Cameron Archer. Archer rifles that one home. And Aston Villa have their first moments of something to cheer for their supporters. You see some of them in the stands here at lower.com field. They pull one back just before halftime. Cameron Archer with an outstanding finish, but it was a poor giveaway.
Poor giveaway, yeah. Poor slip, but they go forward. I'm thinking, Archer, make the run inside so you can give it to Woods. He doesn't. He takes it, uses the run, goes out, and then he just drills that into the back of the net, top of the net, sorry, with a wonderful strike. Just there, I'm thinking, make it run inside. He doesn't. He gets it out of his feet. No hesitation, little swivel, and thumps that into the back of the net. And I think on the balance, there we go again. I mean, how many times are you going to just play the ball over the top?
Pau Torres trying to recover. Here's Cucho.
Oh!
And he's got it. He doesn't even have to stay on. Past halftime for his half trick. Cucho Hernandez.
He is on fire. Mark, take nothing away about the finish, but what about the first touch as well? You know it's coming. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking it just played it, but look how high they are. But look at his touch. His awareness just to take it forward and just scoop it round, and then that little wonderful left foot guides it into the corner. Let the ball do the work. It bubbles around, and then this little touch inside. That's against the Spanish international, by the way. Goes round him, wonderful little touch, little composure, puts that away. He's electric.
(3-1) Columbus Crew.
So much for 0-0.
Not going to be the case tonight. 2 minutes of stoppage time here at the end of the first half.
I tell you, we've had some great finishes. You know, the little dink, the finish we just see there from the Aston Villa, thumping that into the back of the net, and that as well. The little touch inside as a defender. I can't move quick enough to get round. And as I said, that's a Spanish international. He's doing it. It's not doing it
I mean,
against
somebody who played in a World Cup, Pau Torres.
They're in again.
And this lands past Moreno. Shots blocked. Cucho may have another attempt. Stabbed away there at the last minute by Barrenechea.
Look at his attitude as well, you know. You could quite easily say he knows he's a starter for this team, but he's gotten on the ball, he's playing. Sometimes as well, you play against a top team, the coach has a look and his coaching staff said, I might take him. I know it's happened in the past before, some coaches, they come away, they play a game, The great Ronaldo, Sir Alex Ferguson. He played in the game and they went, you know what, we're going to go and get it. And it happens. It happens. And we all know goal scorers are hard to find. We've got goal scorers, but someone that can just put the ball in the back of the net, a finisher.
And Cucho is a finisher 3 times in the first half, and that's the end of the first half.
What a game.
Hat trick for Cucho Hernandez, the man who scored 13 regular season MLS goals. And it's a 3-1 lead after the first 45 minutes of this Leagues Cup showcase here at lower.com field. We'll look at some highlights here in a minute. Update Leagues Cup scores from tonight. Look at tomorrow's schedule. Discuss a little bit of what happened last night. Get a look at Leon Bailey. I like what you said. I thought your point, though, was an excellent one. I know it's a friendly, and Aston Villa, they're, you know, you're tuning up and you're getting ready, but you know, you don't want to come a long way and be on the wrong end of an ugly scoreline.
And it goes to what we were talking about your brand, coming to see your fans are coming to see. You don't want them to look at you and think, well, this is going to be a difficult season. Because again, it's just coming into a game. He's going to make changes. There's no doubt about that. A lot of the players are warming up now for Aston Villa. There'll be a few harsh words. Oh, not harsh words, but truthful words said to some players. Columbus Crew's team talk is obviously a lot different.
All right, we have highlights. So they are ready. And obviously, we know who the focal point of the highlights are going to be tonight. Cucho Hernandez with 3 first-half goals. Fantastic switch by Will Sands to Christian Ramirez. And then the young center back Josh Feeney doesn't do well defending.
Yeah, he found it difficult, but like we said, with the finisher that he is, he doesn't hesitate, just swivels around, knows exactly where the goal is. That little diagonal ball. The first ball was played in behind. Now, as a defender, you're facing your own goal, and the strikers are coming onto the ball. And that set the tone of the game, because it was time after time where they was playing the ball over the top.
Obviously, Cucho will get all the headlines, but I think it's noteworthy that Sands, who barely has played this year, hit such a great switching ball. Here's a giveaway, and now Morgan Rogers, already 3 goals in the preseason friendlies for Aston Villa, denied by Nicholas Hagan.
Yeah, as I said, Rogers has impressed us. It wasn't the best system to play out from the back, but again, spoke about how good they are going forward, Columbus Crew. Here's this ball again, down the side. Opportunity, comes back inside. Sands, and you think just bend it in the corner. There's a little bit of deflection, but the sign mark was there. It hasn't got to be a great ball. He just plays it inside. He's getting the opportunity. You're right. He hasn't played as many games he would have liked to this season, but he's having a good 45 minutes against a top-class team.
Start playing more. That's how you get on the field more with opportunities like this. Christian Ramirez with a good chance here, Warren.
Yeah, give away again. Christian doesn't quite get out of his feet, gets stuck underneath it, and that's where he can't drill it into the corner. Good movement again by Rossi, taking the defenders away, creating space, but quite couldn't get his foot around that. And there's a little bit of frustration. I know you like this save, don't you? The way he being the ex-goalkeeper you are.
Cameron Archer denied. He won't get denied later on, by the way, but here is Nicholas Hagan shutting the door on Cameron Archer.
He has to get that correct, because if not, it could have quite easily been a penalty. Here's a space again. What about this for a finish?
Well done.
But again, they know exactly, you know, Ramirez, Rossi, Nagby, they know they're just going to the space in behind, and he's going to take that run. The good, the bad, and the ugly, them 3, wasn't it?
Here's Cameron Archer. If he finished like this at Sheffield United last year, they might have stayed up.
Got to get the ball forward at Sheffield. Unfortunately, it wasn't going forward. There's the giveaway there. I'm thinking now, make the run inside, make the space for your opponent, but he doesn't. He keeps there, gets it out of his feet, uses a run, and then he just drills that into the top of the net. Good finish.
Had 4 goals for Sheffield United last season. Fantastic finish there.
You think you got game on now. You think, well, you just got yourself back in the game. Again, play the ball around the corner, let it bounce. What about this for a touch as well? Defender, don't worry about that. And then I'm just going to pass that into the back of that. Little skip in front of the goalkeeper, just takes it over his foot. Little spin on the ball, let the ball do the work, come inside, and then before he's set, I'm just going to put that into the back of the net. What a finish. Be surprised if we see him at half-time in the second half, but
And as you properly pointed out, that was against Torres. That's not something you can just explain away as, oh, well, it's an academy player, a reserve player, Feeney, who hasn't ever had a first-team appearance with Villa playing. That was Pau Torres that he was turning and maneuvered and was able to beat for that third and final goal of his hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have been very efficient. 5 shots, 4 on target. Corners, I'd expect more from the corners because, as I said, they've got this set-piece coach that you think they do a little bit better. I mean, look at the offsides.
Yeah.
You know, 4, but it could have, you know, it could have been quite easy if there's someone VAR in that it would have been onside. So that's something that if Villa are going to go with, and the coach seems to like that, that's okay. But you've got to be prepared. If there's no pressure on the ball, you must drop off a little bit, or your goalkeeper must have a higher line to come out and help it and be a keeper sweeper, as Neuer's done in the past for Bayern Munich.
We have some more highlights to look at, a little bit on Aston Villa and some of the chances that they created. Of course, as we discussed in the first half, their talisman, Ollie Watkins, still recuperating from England's run to the final of the Euros. So the front line features Leon Bailey, who had 14 goals across all competitions last year, Cameron Archer and Morgan Rogers, and they certainly created their fair share of chances.
Mark, they're a team that goes forward. They're not a team that wants possession. I'm not saying they can't pass the ball because they can, but their first thought, and I've seen it with the coach, Emery, he wants them to go forward. He wants them to penetrate. So as soon as they get that opportunity as a forward, you're making a run. They've got chances, particularly on their left-hand side. Mourinho, if he'd done a little bit better with better decisions, as Rogers again going forward. But every time they do get the ball, it's not about just keeping the ball, it's about going forward. You see his body shape there, comes inside, okay, it's a good save, but the identity is, one, the high line, which you live and die by that, but also when they win it, Ross Barkley and whoever's in midfield, Tillemans, whoever it's going to be, will want to go forward and want to try and penetrate earlier.
You know, you joke about me being an ex-goalkeeper. You know, I was an ex-hockey goalie, though, so that's my
That doesn't count, Mark. Really, hockey, I'm sorry to trouble you, Mark, but hockey and soccer are not the same. Just read this about their trip, will you? Because you could end up being at Leipzig by the end of this.
Wednesday night, Red Bull Arena. That's where the trip continues for Aston Villa, as they will play RB Leipzig from
That'd be a good game.
It will be good. That will be a lot.
Concentrate, will you? You've got more to read.
And then on Sunday, Club America from Liga MX. They were the team that qualifies straight into the knockout stage from Liga MX by virtue of most points accumulated across all of 2023.
Biggest team in Mexico?
Yes, sir.
Would you say they are?
Yep,
Monterrey,
absolutely.
Tigres, them.
Chivas, of course.
Chivas.
Yep. And that will be quite a crowd on Sunday afternoon at Soldier Field in Chicago when Aston Villa and Club America play.
I like Chicago.
Columbus, by the way, still waiting on an opponent from Leagues Cup West Group 4. And that could be Sporting Kansas City, could be Chicago, could be Toluca. What is Leagues Cup? I think obviously close followers of Columbus Crew understand. Could have been a great run for Columbus last year. They just didn't have the luck they needed in their penalty shootout against Minnesota United when they met in the knockout stage. But teams from MLS and the United States and Canada, and of course teams from Mexico and Liga MX, 3 countries, 2 leagues, 47 teams, 45 and 15 groups of 3. Club America and Columbus Crew moving straight into the knockout stage. The group stage started last night. It will wrap up on August 25th, the tournament that is. The group stage will go through the first few days of August. It started last night. Quite a game between Atlanta and DC United. And these games go to penalty kicks after 90 minutes, by the way.
I like that.
Yep, like it is very much so. DC United. How about, look, you and I have had a lot of games of Austin FC this year, and that was a big win for them against Pumas last night, playing with 10 men. And Stephen Cleveland, wasn't even Brad Stuber, was Stephen Cleveland stopping a PK in stoppage time in the second half.
Yeah, and Zardes was involved as well. It's a big result for Josh Wolf. Pumas were excellent going forward, but very vulnerable at the back. Seattle get their job done. They left it very late. Jordan Morris getting a goal. And LAFC, I would say them and Club America the favourites to win Leagues Cup. Still a long, long way to go, but took care of Cholos, and not very good behaviour by the coach, should I say, as well.
Yeah, Juan Carlos Osorio did not cover himself in glory last night. There are games tonight. Let's see here. So we're going to find out, like the viewers are, what's going on. Well, Miami at halftime, they lead Puebla. Houston and Atlas are scoreless at halftime. Philadelphia with a 1-0 lead over Charlotte. New England and Mazatlan goalless at halftime. Red Bulls and Toronto same.
Philly can use this competition to get back on track. They've had a good couple of games before this, and now they're starting to get that feel-good factor. Obviously had Sullivan, the young player, just over 14 years of age, making his MLS debut as well, but there's going to be some exciting games going forward.
Inter Miami, the defending champions of the competition, and obviously they're not at full strength, but in the league, they found ways to win, and they're in front of Puebla through 45 minutes of tonight's game. And then tomorrow, there are 3 games on the schedule, and we show you the schedule tomorrow to know that you've got New York City and Querétaro, who had a nice run in Leagues Cup last year. León and Portland in one of the Liga MX versus MLS games. And then Sporting Kansas City and Chicago. Now, if you're a Columbus Crew supporter, that's notable because, again, West Group 4 is Sporting KC and Chicago, 2 teams in the league who are having difficult seasons, and Toluca from Liga MX, and the runner-up from that group will be here at Lower.com Field on August 9th to play Columbus in a round of 32 game.
Yeah, I think anyone coming to this stadium in this environment, the way they're playing at the moment, I believe they're on a run of 4 games winning. This as well, again, this game's far from over. There will be some changes going forward, but no one will want to come here. And obviously being a seed, you get that opportunity to play. It's great for the MLS, Liga MX teams as well. They're not having to travel. They've got bases, so Austin, Pumas and Monterrey, they're actually based in Austin, so they're not having to travel. I thought that was a little bit unfair last season where you're having to keep going from hotel to hotel. At least you've got a base where you can go back, and it gives you a little bit more security. Go home, you can train, you can get ready.
Well, I think that's really important when you do something like this and you try to start a new tradition, and you have season 1, and obviously things went great last year, but you're always looking to make improvements. You're always looking to fine-tune things, and I think doing that in terms of what you're discussing there, Warren, is an excellent idea.
And for the tournament last year, it couldn't have gone any better. You know, everybody remembers Messi free kick really set the tone. He's in town. He scores a goal like that with all the celebrities there that are watching him. He does that, and then it goes on for him eventually to go and get MLS for David Beckham, and then that franchise to go and win their first trophy. It just set the tone of the tournament. They carried it on. They've spoken to each other. We was on a call this week, and it's about how they're trying to improve things, how they're working together, how they're identifying what's best for the players, and it's only going to get bigger and better. And then you throw in an Aston Villa coming into an exhibition game, if you like, to go and do this. You've had, as I said, big teams like Chelsea and Arsenal and Manchester City are here, Manchester United, so Real Madrid. So again, you not only you've got these teams going on, you've got international teams that are coming out to play as well.
So in the second half of tonight's game, we could see these 2 individuals. We shall see. Dylan Chambost, 27 years old, from Saint-Etienne in France. He was playing in the 2nd division, Ligue 2, for the last 2 years. He played
an
there.
exclusive.
An exclusive.
I'm looking down at the field, and Jackson's getting warmed up, so I think he will be coming on.
Okay.
So there's an exclusive for you. Carry on and do the...
Yes, Aziel Jackson, who was acquired in a trade last month with St. Louis City. He did make his debut for Columbus Crew just a minute as a sub against Atlanta United in the last league game. And we already have the breaking news that Warren has shared that he's going to be coming on here to start the second half.
Well, I'd like to, give exclusives out.
I appreciate that you like that, All right, let's check out some of the sights and sounds of the first half of tonight's Leagues Cup showcase. Aston Villa and Columbus Crew at Lower.com Field. Cucho Hernandez, a hat trick in the first half, and there are a lot of changes we can already see for Columbus. So Chambos has come on. I see Jason Russell-Rowe, Evgeny Cheberko is into the game. Now Nagbe and Zawadzki have stayed out there. So it's not a complete change of the 11. Hagen has stayed on in goal. That's how it is with these friendlies. There's a lot to sort out whenever you get to the beginning of the second half, because with the unlimited subs, both teams were able to dress as many as 26 individuals for tonight's game. And so we'll see what Aston Villa will put on for a team here in the second half.
Yeah, and I think it's the ideal opportunity, as you rightly said. New players coming to the club. Okay, you know, had a little bit of a introduction, but it's a nice environment to come into it. You want to obviously go out there and entertain the fans. Just looking to them right now, and Villa coming out. I don't think they're making too many changes. Maybe at left back. I don't see Marino coming out, but
Luca Dean is out, so that would be one potential change. I see Diego Carlos has come out as well.
Yeah, Cash will come in at right back as well.
Matty Cash, yep.
Polish international.
Jaden Philogene spent last year at Hull City and now is back with Aston Villa.
Marino is at left back, and I said they've gone with Carlos in the middle, so that he just slides in. International at centre half as well.
They have brought in, let's see, I thought they might bring Robin Olsen in at keeper, but it's Olivier Zick.
No, Olsen's up in the stands, my man.
He's not coming in then.
He's not coming in. Unless he's finished his lunch, he ain't coming in.
Here's Max Arston. One of the many changes here for Columbus Crew to start the second half. Leon Bailey stayed out there. There's Zick, who played on loan in Poland in the Ekstraklasa last year. 26 appearances, 7 clean sheets for his club team. He's had nearly 50 appearances for the Aston Villa under-18s and under-23s. From an attacking standpoint, Rogers is still out there. Mentioned Bailey is also still part of the group on the pitch for Aston Villa as well.
Yeah, they've gone to a 4-4-2 as well.
Philogene's out on the left side of midfield.
And they've got
Brendan Shea and Barkley are the central midfielders.
Yeah, and Archer and Rogers just up front playing as a pair. He's done that before in the past, so that's fine. I'll be interested to see how this high line, if that keeps going. Columbus having good possession.
Dylan Chambos just got his first touch. So when you think about Dylan Chambos, he's played at Troyes along with Saint-Étienne in France. Very versatile midfielder. Can play high as a 10, can play as a box-to-box 8, can sit deep and be a 6, capable of playing on the wing. How Wilfried Nancy will ultimately opt to use him most frequently, of course, remains to be seen, but very, very versatile player.
And I think that's how his system is. I mean, look at Rossi. Rossi's come in, yes, he plays at 3 and more predominantly wide play, but he can play as a 10 as well, or he can play as an isolated striker, not as a false 9, if you like. Giroud getting on the ball as well.
Now Nagbe. And here's Arston. Jason Russell-Rowe, the Golden Boot winner in 2022 for Columbus Crew 2, has come in up top. So Cucho is out, Ramirez is out, Diego Rossi out.
It's good possession as well. This is what, again, with Columbus, we said about defending going forward. But technically, they're good. That's why they're one of the favourites to win MLS Cup. Because I think from back to front, they're as good as anything in the league. You look at LAFC up front, their front line are deadly. You know, you maybe look at other teams where defensively they're strong, but maybe don't score the goals. But I think when you look at Columbus Crew, they're strong in every asset of the game.
And I think something that we should note as well when you think about the sprint to the finish after Leagues Cup comes to a conclusion in late August is that Columbus, they're sitting on 43 points. They're third in the East, but they have 2 games in hand on every other team in the top 7 in the Eastern Conference. They've only played 23 games. Everyone else around them have played 25. So if you're talking about either warding off a challenge from someone behind you, like New York Red Bulls, for example, or sitting in 4th, or having a go at FC Cincinnati or Inter Miami at the top of the conference, the opportunity is there because of the games in hand. Now, games in hand, it's good because you have the chance to earn more points, but then that also means you're probably going to be facing more fixture congestion, more schedule congestion, which means squad rotation and having to kind of navigate those challenges.
But this is why this little period is so important, to integrate some new players that he's brought in, to give some players a little bit of time, but also your regulars, to give them a little taste, but then say have a couple of days off. You know, you don't need to be around. Go, and again, Mark, at this stage, you see, it's not the physical side, it's the mental side that you maybe need a break.
Ross Barkley's still out there for Aston Villa. I know it was only a 1-season run, but I'm sure there were some interesting memories and some special moments being part of that incredible run for Luton, playing in the Premier League last year.
Oh, he was by far their best players. You know, the one thing, and credit to Luton, they wasn't going to deviate, it wasn't going to change. Another unique stadium as well in the back streets of Luton. It's
Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, it's not the glamour that you would expect, but it's the heart and soul of what English football's all about. And there's not too many teams in the world that go from the bottom tier to the top tier and still keep the same stadium, keep the same identity that they go forward.
I believe, I have to say, I was very, very amused when Luton earned their promotion to the Premier League, and it was being discussed online and various social media platforms. I'll follow up on this in a minute. Here's Morgan Rogers. Rogers carries this into the area. Opportunity here for Alex Moreno, and over.
Yeah, you'd expect him with his sweet left foot to hit the target.
So I saw someone suggest on social media last year that when Luton were going to be in the Premier League at Kenilworth Road, that whenever VAR would be needed, that the way the setup was going to be is they would just go across the street into someone's flat and watch the replay on Sky Sports. there wouldn't even be room for a monitor at the ground. They would just go into an apartment across the street and watch the Sky Sports replay.
It's the little things that make you laugh in life. They're not the complicated guys. It's the little things.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. There's so many things in England that will make you laugh. You got to get over there.
Jackson pushes it out to the left-hand side.
Oh, good feet.
And down he goes.
Too easy. Didn't need to go down either. Oh, wow.
And now here's a save and a follow-up and a score. Goal. Shambos, his first big moment with Columbus Crew. Well, it got a little messy, and Shambos there to clean up the mess.
Well, it's poor defending. I think, first of all, they think it's a penalty for Columbus Crew. Then I think Cash thinks he got caught on the ball. He doesn't, but first impressions, he gets a chance and doesn't hesitate. This is where you think Jackson's in, he gets a chance, he falls over. That's not. Now clear your lines. Now they're trying to actually play out from the back in the middle of your 6-yard box, and they get punished. And just inside your penalty area, then that's not a foul. That's Carlos coming across. Now get rid of it. Pass it forward. No bad habits. You get punished. Little ricochet. 4-1 down. That's not down to fitness, you know, that's not down to I'm only into my first or third game of the season. That's down to a little bit of sloppiness from a Premier League player, an international player as well.
Yeah, key component last year. Matty Cash played in 46. I mean, when you count all the competitions, Premier League, Europa Conference League, UEFA Conference League, FA Cup, League Cup. Aston Villa had 56 matches across 4 different competitions last year. Cash played in 46 of them.
Yeah, and a very reliable player, a very good player.
15 international appearances with Poland, to your point. Former Nottingham Forest player. Here's a list of the subs that have taken place. Former Philadelphia Union homegrown Derek Jones, Guinea Chimerko, Aston, Yayaboa, Shambos with his Columbus Crew debut, Jason Russell-Rowe, part of the front line, and Aziel Jackson. Jackson has played the last season and a half with St. Louis, played at Minnesota United, 2 in MLS Next Pro before that. The subs for Aston Villa: Diego Carlos is into the game. Won a gold medal with Brazil in the Olympics in 2021. Matty Cash, who just had that unfortunate giveaway. Olivier Zick, the goalkeeper from Poland. Jaden Philogene, who was at Hull City last year. Luca Dean, French international. He's played in a World Cup for France, for Les Bleus before. So at least 5 changes. I believe that's the number for Aston Villa at this point. Here's a long, hopeful ball. Down went Rogers. Philogene on the end of this. The layout by Archer for Rogers.
We wanted it first time. Bailey just wanted it rolled to him so he could come onto it. As Rogers got a little bit of a limp. Good referee in there. We not spoke too much about the ref, and he just let the game go. Could have been a foul on Rogers. He's let the opportunity go, but unfortunately for Aston Villa, they couldn't quite get penetrating shot on target.
So in all, it was 7 Columbus changes and 5 Villa changes at halftime. And we'll see how it unfolds for the remainder of the game. Early goal here in the second half for Dylan Shambos for Columbus Crew.
I know we showed a little bit at half-time, Mark, the way Aston Villa try and penetrate early and going behind, but I must compliment the back 3, whoever it has been from Columbus Crew. They've always had a person in front. They've not had clean opportunities. I know they've got the wonderful strike that puts in to the roof of the net, but the Columbus players have had this mentality that they don't want to give away cheap goals.
And here's Zawadzki, good bit of defending. And they put Jones in midfield. Zawadzki has dropped back as part of that back line. Amundsen and Chervenko. Nagby on it.
So don't take the chances, you know, that's good play in the end, but that's well played. Now turn and go. Switch it if you can. They're in.
Chervenko was able to maneuver his way out of trouble. Now Yaboa out on the left-hand side.
It looks like now Aston Villa, they're playing like a low block. So maybe, again, he's changed the system to a 4-4-2 and maybe change a little style of football. So it's not that we're going to press high up the field that we see a little bit earlier. Now they're going to sit back and try and play on the counter-attack. So again, another system he's trying to use as a coach.
Jones, layout by Jackson, good combination play. Jones still going. Matty Cash defending. Shambos has 1 goal, and he has just a little layoff there for Jackson.
Well, Jones is doing well. Midfield just picking up. Offside.
Aston offside.
I've got a couple of pet hates. That's one of mine. If you're looking along the line, you shouldn't be offside. You should just wait for the ball to go in there.
playing a much lower block here in the second half. So the first time we've seen an offside flag come up for Columbus after 4 times against that very high line that Villa were playing in the first half. Cucho Hernandez got in behind that high line. Scored 3 goals in the first half.
There he is. Well worked, smiling. Got a goal in midweek in the All-Star.
The tremendous trio. See Ramirez.
I'm going to give you a bit of credit, which is not very often. You got voted for Player of the Month, and you put your vote there.
Yes, yes, I did. Yes, and you did too, right? Did you vote for him as well?
I did vote for him.
Yeah. I mean, you had to, right?
I was going to say it wasn't one of them.
Oh, here's an opportunity. Wow. Jason Russell Rowe, that is, will wish he had done better with that.
Yeah, on that left-hand side, it goes at Cash, and Cash is a good defender. He gets him on his toes and then just tries a little pullback, and he's just trying to flick that into corner. Maybe just gets the angle wrong as he comes inside and just trying to wrap his foot around it and guide that into the corner.
Now, Cucho Hernandez had to be the player of the month for Major League Soccer in July. 5 games.
MVP?
3 goals, 4 assists. Chicho Arango going to be in the MVP conversation. Lucho Acosta has to be in the MVP conversation. I'm not ready to give you a firm answer on that, but
I was going to say, narrow it down. You've just said 15 players that might get it.
it's a very, very deep field. But I thought for the month of July, when you look at the dominance and the, you know, when I always look at those player of the month, when I get the email about voting for those, I look at the stats for the players. That matters to me. But I also, without veil, look at what the team is doing. I know that these are individual awards, and this, of course, is a debate across all sports.
Yep.
Whenever you're making votes for season MVPs or player of the month or player of the week, how much of it do you base on pure stats for the individual, and how much of it is
it has to be both
leading to success of the team? And it's like, what are we doing here if we're not looking at it at least somewhat through the lens of what your play is doing in terms
There's no
of
point
how
scoring
it leads
5
to
goals and you've got beaten every game, but we'll give him Player of the Month. So that was a shorter version.
Yeah, you've got to be producing results for your team along with producing stats.
About producing, I want you now, Aston Villa to make 6 subs, and they're all in the 20s. So good luck.
Well, first it's cleared here by Columbus. Well, we're going to see some familiar names in this group. World Cupper for Belgium twice, Leander Dendoncker. He's going in. Emilio Buendia is going into the game, of course. Now he's on his way back from a devastating injury last year. One of the new additions, Amadou Onana, Belgian international.
He's a player.
Just played every minute for Belgium in the Euros this summer. You saw him, Warren?
Yep, didn't have the best, not him personally, but the Belgians didn't have the best. But Ross Barkley's having a rest now. You know, he's coming off, getting high fives from his coaches. Leon Bailey's another one.
Kane Kessler-Hayden is going into the game. Hasn't had too many appearances with the first team. 4 games across all competitions last year. There's Kessler-Hayden.
Just speaking to the training staff as well of Aston Villa, and is it so important their recovery afterwards? Like, there used to be times where you'd sit on the bench. They want him to go in, they want him to stretch, they want him to get prepared for the next game. You rightly said, against Leipzig at Red Bull Arena. So it's not just the case now you play your 45 minutes or an hour game and then you just sit there for 20 minutes. You have to go back in, prepare yourself, make sure that the medical staff have a look at you, make sure all the stats are good, logged in.
Well, of all the players that have come on here, I mean, I think the story to talk about is Amadou Onana. £50 million transfer from Everton here this summer. Belgian international, 22 years old. Over the last 2 seasons, 72 appearances playing at Goodison Park.
He has a bit of everything. You know, he can play as a 6 because he can hold and pass the ball. He reminds me of, he's not at that level yet, but a Patrick Vieira, where he can play and pass the ball, but also he can run in behind, he can break things up, he can stride forward. That's where I think they're going to utilise him more. I think there's areas, particularly how Villa are going to play. They want their midfield player to turn and go forward. I think he brings that into the game. People that are not old enough to remember Patrick Vieira, go and have a look at him on YouTube or wherever it is.
Yep.
He was a top-class player.
Go watch his highlights, and then also go watch David Dean's story about his first words that he spoke in the changing room.
Well, I'll let you elaborate on that.
It's a good story. You just need to go watch it on YouTube. That's my recommendation.
It was a duel against his North London rivals. What a pass!
Yeah, that was a wonderful ball. And Philigine's got a lane to shoot, and it's repelled.
But again, for Columbus Crew, you know, they don't just, oh, it's a, you know, again, they get a defender in front, he comes inside, they block it, they throw the head inside, and that's a good sign of a, as I said, of a soccer club, a football club, where the mentality is, whatever level you're playing, academy, whether you're playing MLS next, to play at a level to win. You know, you're in the business of winning and you want to be competitive. This is what Cash can do.
And Matty Cash into the side netting.
Yeah, going forward, he's got good energy, good purpose about his play.
Took a deflection going through there, so it will be a corner. And you'll see Luca Dean, the 31-year-old. Made 46 appearances last year, 2 goals. Almost 100 appearances in 3 years at Aston Villa. Former Barcelona, PSG, Roma, Everton, Lille.
Got some agent.
31 years old. Oh, sends in a good delivery. Cleared by Columbus. Spent some time talking about Onana and his addition. And then if you're just going to judge it based on how much you spent in the transfer window on an individual, then the second most significant acquisition by Aston Villa in the summer window is also on the pitch. Ball at his feet right now, Ian Maatsen. 35 million pounds. Chelsea player, but of course he was on loan at Borussia Dortmund last year.
Let's cross it.
Philogene crosses it. Shevchenko puts it behind for a corner kick.
Yeah, I think with Aston Villa, what they've bought is players to go into the first team now, and players that will grow into the Premier League, because you're right, Mark, you've got the Champions League coming up, League Cup, FA Cup. Premier League is relentless the way the league is. The games come thick and fast, it's frantic.
Ball in by Dean. Good flick at the near post.
Oh, well played.
Yaboa, skill check.
Get his head up, he might be in.
Russell Rowe carries it forward.
Changed his mind. He just changed his mind about 4 times.
The dreaded caught between 2 minds, or in that case, 4 minds.
Someone told me the first one, 80% is your best chance. if your first vision that you see, that wasn't a joke. I told you to laugh at the right moments. That wasn't one of them. I'm trying to be serious with you. And he's like young players, and we involved in the youth game in America. And they see a pass and then they change their mind. That's the first one. Just give it to them. Now you can laugh.
I'm still thinking about David Dean and Patrick Vieira, and somehow Ray Parler got thrown in the bus. I'm telling you.
Ray Parler. Ray doesn't need any help to be thrown in the bus. Ray can do it himself. Great person and a wonderful player, Ray Parler.
No, I think that to revisit the point you were making about Villa and their summer transfer window, you brought up something really interesting, and the way that the perspective you had on it. They brought in quality. Here's an attack by Philogene. Philogene coming forward, cutting across to his right. Oh, nice combination play with Emilio Buendia. Shot by Philogene was blocked. Warren, they brought in quality for the Champions League, but they brought in depth for the fixture congestion. I think they've done a lot of very good business.
They have, as well, and young players, you know. And again, not just the age young, but these players have been at Juventus, or they've played a lot of times in the Championship, or they've played at a high level, like you said, at Everton, gone to the Euros. So they bought a mixture of everything, and like, you're judged again if he plays it in a little bit earlier.
Aston. Zick off his line, picks it up for Villa.
Yeah, good position as well from the young goalkeeper to come out. They haven't had that line, have they? You know, they've totally gone back to, and again, it would be a bit old school. They've defended properly. You know, if there's no pressure on the ball, they've dropped off. If there's pressure, you can squeeze in and try and win it. They get a little bit obsessed by what they was trying to do in the first half, and that's what these games are for. We're going to change a little bit of our system. They're obviously going to change the personnel, but also change the system, because when they go to a Manchester City away from home, if they have a high line like that, Haaland's going to have a field day, because he wants space in behind. But when you play against him, don't give him any space and get close to him. He finds it difficult to cause any problems.
Buendia sends it forward. Lewis Dobbin got involved in the build-up. Onana. Headed towards the final 20 minutes of Leagues Cup Showcase. Columbus Crew, league champions, earns them qualification directly into the knockout stage of Leagues Cup. They'll play either Sporting Kansas City, Chicago Fire, or Toluca from Liga MX in a couple of weeks, August 9th to be exact, in the round of 32. The runner-up from that three-team group. So tonight,
you would think Toluca, the way that they play and their quality and the style of football that they play, very much a 4-3-3, and they play very much like Columbus Crew. When they get the ball, there's no hesitation and want to go forward. Sporting Kansas City have had a difficult season for Peter Vermes, and
Chicago as well.
Yep. Chicago just can't seem to get it right, can they? You know, the different coaches, different players, and it seems to be the same problems that they're having.
Darlington Nagbe, after 70 minutes, will go out of the game. Cole Moraka going in.
Listen to the applause that he gets.
Cole Moraka, 18-year-old homegrown. One league game for him this year. 9 MLS Next Pro games for Columbus Crew 2. And was a key part of their lineup last year.
Yeah, didn't really touch on that, did we? Really, the MLS Next Pro players get called up because maybe 1 or 2 players have carried an injury, and this is a time to recoup. And so it's good for a coach to see what they're like in good areas. It's good players. Can they handle the environment? A good crowd here. I think it holds, what, nearly 21,000. It's not far short of that.
Some of the players that have come on here in the second half have used MLS Next Pro as a building block and a springboard to opportunities in MLS.
Well, again, it just shows that the way the league is growing, that the leagues now that we have with the players coming through, and I mean, we get the emails of players that have gone through MLS Next Pro that are playing regular now in MLS and going abroad and having that opportunity. So not only the academies have got better, the second team stroke reserve teams are now getting opportunities. So there's a whole knock-on effect, and there's a big interest and a big pull for MLS. And that's why, again, you know, players want to come here first and foremost, but also clubs want to do their pre-season games. They want to see the facilities, and as I said, we see these stats guys that was talking to each other from Crew and through Aston Villa, so they'll be bouncing ideas off each other as well.
Aziel Jackson, number 13 for Columbus.
A little pull on the shoulder.
Wow.
Just a little pull, just done enough just to put him off. And again, unfortunately no VAR, but there was just enough just to put him off with his stride.
Well, there's 2 starters from the game still out there, and Amundsen was one of the 2 starters involved in preventing Lewis Dobbin from going in on goal against Hagen. 3 starters if you include the goalkeeper for Columbus still out there. Now Jackson, Aziel Jackson, used his time in Minnesota United too. 10 goals at MLS Next Pro in 2022. Jason Russell-Rowe, as we noted earlier, Won the Golden Boot with 21 games for Columbus Crew 2 in 2022. And now Maraca into the game. Maraca, 2 goals, 2 assists in 9 games for Crew 2 this year.
There's a proper tackle, you know. They're the little signs where he lost it, and that pride coming in where he just wanted to get the ball and win it. It's not just the fitness level, it's the touch, it's the awareness of where people are on the field. You can do all your practice games and your 11v11 or your 10 versus 12, whatever you want to do in training games, but now you're in a little bit of a battle, a little bit of heat of the game where you want to make sure that things are correct. I must say as well, the surface is good, even, you know, considering there was a game in that skills challenge that was on Tuesday, and obviously the game was on Wednesday, the MLS All-Star game. Did you come up here? Did you get an invite?
I did not.
Oh.
I did not. I was Olympicing earlier this week. Yes.
What can I just say? What an opening ceremony that was, the Olympics.
It was great.
Very French.
That's a good way to put it.
Very French. There was a lot of extremes from a bit of jazz to whatever it was, can-can.
Here's Lewis Dobbin.
Go the other way now, keep the ball moving. Try and get Cash on the ball, pushing forward.
Dendoncker part of the build. Buendia got roughed up at the halfway line.
Mark, you touched on the point about players that maybe haven't had the opportunity. Jones is one that's come in, and you've seen him play in different positions, but he's gone in there and said to his coach, I've got a good attitude, I want to play this game, I want to show you that going into the latter part of the season, I think most teams have got about 8 or 9, you said about Columbus have got a couple more, but I want to be involved in them games. And then obviously you have the playoff and Leagues Cup that are coming along.
Onana coming forward. Gabo is trying to foul him. Crossfield ball, well done by Aston, but
a card as well, I would think. No? Yes, there you go. He had 3 attempts to try and grab him, but that's what he can do more. You know, I see a lot for Belgium. He sits there, Gabo picking up the card, and he was just too powerful to get away. And the awareness that he had, there's 1, there's 2.
Onana's wondering why the free kick hasn't been given.
Well, he was trying to play a little bit of advantage. If the ball was a little bit better, the referee would have let it go. But
once Aston broke up that crossfield ball, brought it back and gave the free kick.
A set piece again. I just wonder, is there something off the training ground?
Can head it back across. Nope. Madsen, now Matty Cash. Godin.
You would think as well this season with, you know, Ollie Watkins of the confidence that just 1 goal gave him for England against the Netherlands, where he put the ball in the back of the net, will carry him through. Martinez, the goalkeeper, he doesn't lack confidence at all, but again, to win Copa America, then a World Cup, then a Copa, you know, he's going to be a big presence in this team. Make sure his backline are organised, and with the coach and with the players that they brought in, you think they're going to have a strong campaign. But the roster is going to be tested.
These are important minutes tonight, by the way, for Emilio Buendia. Buendia, number 10 for Aston Villa, out all year last season. Season-ending injury in August in preseason training. Had scored 9 goals in the previous 2 seasons.
Good advantage played by the ref there.
Shambost, who has the lone goal of the second half in his Crew debut in tonight's Leagues Cup showcase.
Oh, well played.
Cucho had a hat trick in the first half, if you're just tuning in, by the way. It was well played by Maraca over to Galyaboa. Sawatzki on the ball. He's played the whole night, but that's about to come to an end. Owen Prestis is about to go into the game for him. Offside flag has come up.
as well. Not normally you've seen him play as a midfield player, but now he's slotted in. And again, our Columbus Crew can use players.
There's Owen Prestis.
That was a nice moment. He just had a little conversation with his coach, the 18-year-old, and he would have said, go out there and enjoy it. Don't worry about anything. Go and express yourself. Concentrate.
Buendia between its two options, Jaden Philogene and Lewis Dobbin.
Isn't it great for a young player? You know, they get the opportunity to train with the first team, and now you're coming on to play against a team that are going to be competing. They're going to watch them on TV, going to compete in the Champions League, and now you're coming on MLS Next Pro, have the opportunity to play, you get the chance, you got a coach that believes in you.
Prestis has appeared in 18 games this season for Columbus Crew 2, scoring 1 goal. 6 games for Prestis for Crew 2 last year. And we'll get some run out here for the last 10 minutes and stoppage time of tonight's Leagues Cup showcase.
Well, I think that's everybody, I think everybody's had a contribute. Has everybody been on? Are we missing anybody?
Just the backup goalkeeper.
They don't count.
Stas Lapkus, Crew Academy player since 2019. And let's see here.
I mean, these are great moments for young players to get. They're never going to forget this. You know, get on the field, good crowd.
Every field player that was available has gone into the game. You are correct.
I knew I was. I didn't ask you to have a look. I was just stating a fact. I wasn't asking.
It sounded. I thought I heard a question mark.
I wasn't asking you.
I heard a question mark on the end of that.
I just wonder for Aston Villa now, would you just go and press for the last 10 minutes, get that energy back in, don't allow Columbus Crew to see the clock and run it down and pass it around? I think a little bit of pressure would be good.
If you're looking at notable names who will play later in the week, presumably on the tour of the United States for Aston Villa. Oh, here's a nice ball from Aston, and Zick out for it. There was contact in the area.
I wouldn't say he eased him out, he just body checked him out there. There you go, Costa just put his arm against him, which is part and parcel of the game, but it was quite a heavy push across. But they are trying that little ball as they did in the first half, but not with all the space in behind. I mean, one thing with Aston Villa, they have changed their philosophy in the second half of not having that high line, because in the end it got a little bit silly and predictable, and whatever it was, you know, that's not what top teams should be doing. Great little ball.
Yeah, here's a ball in behind. Dendocker with the ball in the behind, and then it's cut back here for Lewis Dobbin.
You know, Mark, they're the things for me as I'm looking up here. Just what's the desire of a yellow? They're winning 4-1 against a Premier League team. Just what's the desire of the 4-5 yellow shirts getting back? You see one claret and blue shirt getting in there for Aston Villa, but the desire that they've shown as a collective group has been very impressive. I know they're in their season, I know they're doing well. They've got a good culture at this club.
Amundsen broke up that cutback from Kane Kessler-Hayden, leading to this corner kick. And now Philogene has an opportunity. Oh, and Prestis, how about that?
Yeah, he's enjoying it as well.
How about that?
Well done, young man.
Got the block in on that attempt by Jaden Philogene. Had 12 goals at Hull City in the championship last year.
My beloved Newcastle got a good result against Hull City today. They won 2-0.
Very interesting contractual situation. They were trying to sell him on to Ipswich, but there was a clause in his contract, that if Hull made any effort to transfer him elsewhere, then Aston Villa would have a buyback option, and so that has brought Philogene back to Villa Park. Dean will have another delivery here.
Haven't seen a lot from their set-piece specialist. He was actually involved with Scotland in the Euros, but with all due respect to Scotland, he didn't have too many set pieces going forward. But as I said, it seems to be this common fact that you get this set piece coach now, not only a goalkeeping coach, first team coach, second team coach, whatever.
Here's Matty Cash, got closed down by Shambos. Kessler Hayden on the right-hand side. Nothing materialized out of that. Defended well by Columbus.
Yeah, and obviously they have more game plans and some ideas, but again, it's fizzed away. You have a chance to deliver the ball. You've been working, and
well, it's going to be a good night for Wilfred Nancy, who has, as you noted earlier,
he's earned the right.
Yep,
that's what I'm saying. You know, he's not one of these people that have been at the club or an ex-player saying, you know, he's gone with the academy, he's worked with them, then he comes in with the assistant time, and then he had that wonderful season as head coach. And timing, you know, you got that opportunity to come down here, and now he's come into, you know, full of confidence, good people around him, good identity, speaks well. You know, before this game he said this is a great game, rather than saying, well, it's an exhibition game, we're just going to... He wants his club to be involved in this, he wants his young players to do it, and he wants to go against one of the best European coaches. I mean, Emery's coach against elites would be as good as anything in European competition of winning trophies.
carried forward here by Buendia.
Good defending again.
Dobbin part of that attack as well. Now Aston. The foul by Dendoncker.
It was great seeing some of the Aston Villa fans walking around. There was like a generation. There was a young kid and an older teenage boy, and then he's going there walking around and seeing the sights of Columbus, getting ready for the game. They had their shirts on at about 11 o'clock, so.
And still 2 more chances to see them this week. Red Bull Arena against Leipzig. And Club America, another Leagues Cup showcase. Soldier Field, late Saturday afternoon in what apparently is one of your favorite cities, Chicago.
I do like Chicago.
It is a great place, man. It is a wonderful city. Be a lot of fun to see Aston Villa and America play there on Saturday
I've got a soft
afternoon.
spot because I see Michael Jordan play there.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
you know, that's... Villa fans don't have too much to cheer about, but it will get better. You've got the Champions League coming along, you've got the Premier League coming along.
August 17th for the start of the Premier League.
Can't wait.
August 29th when they'll learn their group for Champions League. That's when the draw will be. First match day of Champions League, September 24th.
You a Premier League fan?
Of course I am.
Yeah.
What kind of question is that?
Sorry, yeah. I didn't insult you. I just thought you wore an Arsenal hat just because someone got it for your birthday.
Oh, no. No, I was watching on that fateful Tuesday afternoon when I thought maybe Spurs are going to do something today against Manchester City, and it's like, no, they're not going to help Arsenal win the league. And that was that.
I know that feeling. It happened to me twice. Not once, but twice. And then we have my England, beloved England, the Euros. Imagine if we'd played well. We didn't even play that well, and we got to a final.
I know.
Spain was the best team, but I think we had the best roster.
Spain really did. I mean, their performance in the Euros was dominant.
Yeah, but when we had a go at them, they was there.
Yes, absolutely.
It was there.
It was there to be won, my friend.
Go have a go at them.
Another ball is whipped in here for Philogene.
I mean, that's what I like about both of these teams and coaches. When they're not defensive coaches, they want to go out and go at teams. Yes, they give people respect. Yes, it be Michael spoke about how the other teams play, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are. But ultimately, particularly him, he wants his team to play a certain way to cause teams problems. Whoever they play against, you know, whoever it is. And he's a master in European football as well.
That fourth place finish for Aston Villa in the Premier League last year, their best since 95-96. That side in 95-96 not only finished fourth in the Premier League, but it's the, unless you're counting an Intertoto Cup, the last major trophy won by Aston Villa was the League Cup that year. Beat Leeds United in the final in 1996.
And you know who come bloody second in that league, Premier League?
Newcastle.
Yeah. Well, he's my friend as well.
Sorry to bring that up.
No, you're not.
I mean, maybe just a little bit.
But I think for both groups of players, I think it was a good tempo about this game, Mark. Going back to this one. Lots of learning points for both players.
Aston Villa pushing forward here, hoping for one more before the end.
Go on, hit it.
Taking another touch, another block by Prestis on the shot by Onana. That's 2 blocks by the 18-year-old Owen Prestis.
And played in a good manner as well. We watched the Wrexham-Chelsea game up in San Francisco, and 3 minutes in, there's a little scuffle breaking out. This one's, been competitive and exactly what you want, but also in a good nature.
It has been well played, well refereed, good quality of play.
Well announced.
Debatable on that side.
We need VAR just in case. We're going to have a look just in case it's. Again, Jones has looked comfortable in that area. He's wanted the ball. He's made angles. He's not just come in and just gone through the motions. That's.
Well, you were speaking earlier that he would want this opportunity to play well and make himself a bigger part of the picture in the remaining games of the season. He's played in 13 games this year, but he's only started 1 time. Jones has been a player who's come off the bench in 12 of his 13 appearances. Yeah,
it's the same old saying as well as a player. Don't come banging on my door that you want a chance. I'll give you a chance. Have you done well? He's run away. I begged on your door. I give you 45 minutes. I think I played well, coach. Can you keep me in your thoughts? That's what he's done to the coach, and that's exactly what any player should do, rather than saying, well, I should be playing. Well, go and prove then you should be playing.
Aziel Jackson sends in a cross. It went past Russell Rowe. Still free near the top of the 6. Shambos went down to the area. He scored the 1 goal of the second half. So notable players on this trip for Villa that did not feature tonight include their captain, John McGinn. The 29-year-old, of course, featured at the Euros for Scotland. Yuri Tielemans, the Belgian international, did not play tonight. His first year at Aston Villa last year after 5 seasons at Leicester.
There's a lot of quality up there as well, and you've said Ollie Watkins and Martinez, and he's their captain and leader. He really is a driving force in midfield, the Scottish international. But you can hear the home fans, they're delighted. They're here again, really impressive. They've not started going home, they've been cheering everybody on. It really has a good togetherness in this soccer club, this football club. They think about their community, they think about their fans, and the fans think about their players. So it's a great environment to be involved in.
Probably the last action of the game here. Corner kick. Good defending all the way until the end. Buendia tries to send a second ball back in, and that's it. 2 minutes of stoppage time, or thereabouts, is completed, and Columbus Crew win the Leagues Cup Showcase over Aston Villa 4-1. A first-half hat-trick by Cucho Hernandez propels Columbus to this victory, and against international clubs outside of league and tournament play, that is 14 wins now.
Thoroughly enjoyed the game. I know he did, and he's probably looking around for someone maybe to swap a shirt with. The fans played their part. Columbus Crew come out with an intention, a real desire to do well. And Aston Villa will learn a lot from this game. They will have a good fitness level. They know exactly where they need to improve, and they've still got a long journey to get ready to do that. There's plenty of time. They get back on a plane, go back to Washington, D.C., recoup, get ready for the next game at New York against Leipzig.
They did have several players tonight who got up to the hour mark. Their last starters subbed off in the 61st, 62nd minute of the game. So they did have players who got, Leon Bailey, Cameron Archer, Morgan Rogers, notably got some pretty lengthy. Ross Barkley got an opportunity to play.
And also you've got new players that are getting to know each other. You know, as many training sessions you can have together, but game situation in a good environment against a good team. They'll look at the video next day, they'll have a look at the data, things they can do better, should have done better, but that's what these games are for. And it's not only for the branding and coming to different countries to experience different environments, it's also to get ready for their start of their season, which is obviously a huge.
We have some highlights to share. 5 goals tonight, 4 of them in the first half, so let's check it out. Will Sands, nice switching ball to Christian Ramirez to set up the first of the hat trick tonight for Cucho.
Yeah, and this speaks volumes about Cucho, the way he anticipates where the ball was going. Yes, you could say where the defensive should have done better, but the front three was energetic, they was positive, they was looking for each other. And again, they meant business, they went forward. Rossi again, little delightful ball, but again, just waits, the little chip, opens his body up, and then just puts that into the corner. Top-class player of the month so far for the MLS. Scored in the All-Star game. It's all going for him, and he's getting ready now for Leagues Cup in what, just over a week's time for them.
August 9th is when they'll play in the knockout stage of Leagues Cup. There was one bad moment in the back.
And you get punished.
Yep, they got punished indeed.
Yeah, and then punish it was, top of the roof. Pick that one out. And you think from there, Aston Villa defensively be a bit stronger. They get themselves back in the game. Good moment for the young player, but Columbus Crew was relentless going forward, and there was the other ball. Let the ball do the work. Wonderful touch, and then great composure. He doesn't whack that into the back net. He actually passes it in there, Mark, to get his hat-trick. Cue celebrations. Going to have a rest at half-time. Outstanding performance from a top-class player.
An immediate answer after the lone Aston Villa goal by Cameron Archer. And then Aziel Jackson goes into the area. He thought there was a penalty, and then another bad moment in the back leads to Dylan Shampost in his Columbus Crew debut.
Yeah, a great moment for him. Poor for Cash giving the ball away there. You should always obviously try and clear your lines. It doesn't, but the smile says it all. Nice pat on the back.
26 years old from Saint Etienne, Dylan Shampost has joined Columbus Crew this summer, and he is on the score sheet, at least in a friendly, and he'll have his opportunities to play competitive games coming up very soon, as it will be Leagues Cup knockout time. They'll wait and see what Toluca and Sporting Kansas City and Chicago do against each other.
Very much togetherness here. Let the fans and the players getting together.
We love to watch it play, but those are the moments that make the game the special, beautiful game that it is.
Yeah, and that's where the game is in this country now. You know, you look at these type of players involved, the stadium, the fans are engaged in it. It's getting bigger, it's getting better.
We'll keep on watching on MLS Season Pass for Leagues Cup action coming at you. The group stage is now into day 2. Columbus will wait for the group stage to unfold, and they will play in the knockout stage on August 9th. For Warren Barton and the whole crew in Columbus, Ohio, I'm Mark Followell. Thanks for tuning in. Again, the final score of tonight's Leagues Cup Showcase friendly: Columbus Crew 4, Aston Villa 1.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.